Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment in the series we call Breakdowns. And for this one, brought about purely by a single comment on a YouTube video, because they had seen like a little bit more of the background, the stuff that's over that way that is out of camera, just adjacent to the primary test guys. Baseline lives almost directly above the camera. Wolverine is up there. The ones that I have to pull down the most often to use for testing purposes, they live right up there. And immediately adjacent to them is a sealed, relatively sealed cabinet with a door on it. And inside that cabinet and door live a vehicle. And somebody said, can you do a breakdown on that big guy with the yellow body that's up there? And I thought, I absolutely can, because this is from the times of yore. Absolutely from the times of yore. I mean, if you see something that has an Ultimate RC sticker on it and is plastered with Airtronics, we're looking at, okay, Techno is still around. Lunsford might be. There's a Novak sticker on there. They're gone. Airtronics is basically gone. That's powered by Castle, which means we know it's not a crawler. I think STRC might be gone, because one of the last places I saw selling STRC is Hobby Recreation Products, and they're blowing out the very last of their STRC. Maybe STRC is gone. We've got AKA all in front of it. So last I checked, AKA is gone as well. So this is the body from an associated S8E. And the deal was, back in the ye olden times, we were heavy into the Traxxas Slash, and this, if you can believe it, began as a Traxxas Slash. Now has a 15-ish inch wheelbase. It's still running just a normal. These are Pitbull Rock Beast XLs. If you're wondering if these wheels have been on a balancer, the answer would be yes. It is two-wheel drive. It is two-wheel drive because, as I said, it was built off of a two-wheel drive Slash. It uses 10 body clips if you want to completely attach the body, because this body, in its stock configuration, is mated with a cage. And if you don't have the cage, it's too big and too flongly. So we, meaning I, really body clipped the bejesus out of it. I know that there are parts from an almost countless number of manufacturers. I will try to break them down as best as I can, but it has been long enough that I don't remember a lot of it. This is an RPM front bumper for a Slash 4x4, which was just a 2x bumper that had an adapter to go to that weird 3-bolt that is on the 4x4. The front shock tower, bulkhead, pin mount, and retainers are all mine. I fabricated all those. The shock tower as well as the standoffs, as I said, both pieces of the bulkhead, the pin mount, the retainers that hold the pins in. These lights were once upon a time real, and it still has the wire. All the LEDs died long ago. They have been removed. These are the shocks from a LARC 8 because we're running pretty. You can drop it as high as you want. It's not going to really bottom out. Had to go through so much time tuning the suspension. The shock oil bin still contains shock oil from every weight from 10 in the quarter increments. So I have like 10, 15, 20, 22.5, 20, 27.5, 30, 32.5, all the way up. We have all the bodies because tuning these, changing the pistons, drilling out the pistons, I don't like being in the air. And I really mean that, because when I laid this out and designed it, when it jumps, when people would see it jump, they would go, it doesn't go up in the air. It just goes, whew. And I go, yes, because I absolutely designed it that way. I designed it and laid it out that way. The front A-arms are one of the associated short course trucks from about 15 years ago, 15, 17 years ago. Outer knuckles are Slash, but I believe they're Fastlane Machine knuckles. All of the turnbuckles and rod ends up front are Losi from the short course truck at the time on the Losi. That is an Airtronics 94780, which is still back from the analog days. And at that time, mind you, we're talking, say, around 2010-ish. That servo was making something like 400 ounces, which, you go back in time 15 years, 400 ounces was an incredible amount. And it is unquestionably the most expensive component in the vehicle. The chassis is mine. The upper plate, the standoffs, the mount for the ESC and electronics I made. The battery tray is made out of maple. That's wood. These are all wood. It's all datoed down. This is ABS. These 4 prongs here there was a mount that went on with 4 body clips and attached a GoPro for in-car running. It is the bell crank servo saver setup from, I don't know. I bought it either on clearance or bought it from somewhere and then built the chassis and the upper plate to accommodate. This has gone through so many iterations in build, I can't even begin to describe them all. So mine. These standoffs back from the pen making days, this is acrylic with shredded money in it. All 4 of them used to be that, and then there was a particularly gnarly front end landing that shattered both of the front ones because, it's acrylic, right? Like, it's not particularly built for that. All the body mounts are RPM. The rear shock tower is G10 Garolite. It is mine. The rear sway bar, I made the adapter mount that goes to the block back here that has the bumper mount and the pin mount at the bottom. That is mine as well. The gearbox was some nameless 3-gear Magnum 272 equivalent, which I manufactured my own plate and converted it to mid-motor. It runs a Tekin T8, I want to say 1900 kV, 2650 kV mid-motor. This ran all day on 3S. It was the battery spacer. 3S hard case, kind of a midships, and went through an even greater number of iterations than you could think of to get the battery placement where I wanted the battery placement, to get the performance that I wanted, because it only being 2-wheel drive, it being an open differential, and I mean very open, it is this, I'm forgetting about stuff. So these are Techno CVDs, and you can see a little joint right there where I cut them and then JB welded a sleeve onto it to extend it out, because these are just regular Traxxas Stampede rear arms. And it runs Stampede rear arms because I would break these all the time. You're moving at a nice, good clip, nice rate of speed. This catches on something and it just detaches the whole A-arm from the vehicle. So there is still a drawer under the bin, a bin under the bench that has about 10 pairs of rear A-arms. It was considered the cost of doing business. I broke them all the time. The mount, the rear bumper mount and the rear bumper. That rear bumper is an S8E bumper with the S8E mud flaps. I had to build, see these little like wishbones? Those are G10 Garolite as well, in order to make an adapter to adapt the two together. These are RPM taillights that go on a Slash bumper, modified to fit this. So body mount 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 body clips to mount the body on. It would run a good 20 to 25 minutes on a 3S 5000. And this is not horn tooting. This is not any of those things. This was a thing that I built because there was something very specific that I wanted. And this thing is extraordinarily difficult to drive. It's one of those things like if you take something in the go slow world and it has an incredible amount of capacity, like it can do more, you know it can do more because it's not remarkably easy or forgiving to drive. This is that. Castle Mamba Max Pro, as said the T8 94-780. Avid Triad slipper with the 3 plates in it, and it needs every one of those plates because that is too much power to be passing through 2 wheels. That's generally, you're running on 4S and an 8th scale buggy, and this is even longer. And at that time, I had basically never owned anything 4-wheel drive aside from a Tamiya TT01 and some other stuff like that. Like, I've never owned a 4-wheel drive short course truck unless you count my 6S Centon, which I think we can all agree is pretty much just an 8th scale buggy with a short course body on it. So this is the opposite of that. This is, even at that time, the short course trucks had begun getting more and more alien-like and less truck-like. And I wanted something that looked like a truck and drove like a truck and was just fun to drive. I ordinarily ran just 8th scale buggy tires because a pin is a pin and it tends to hook up. And I have a massive drawer here, a map drawer full of mounted wheels and tires for any environment that it might want to drive on. And we would go to indoor courses, outdoor courses, and people were like, "What is that?" And I'd be like, "Oh, that's my truck that I built out of all the parts that I built out of manufacturers for 6 different platforms and 15 different companies, and then all of the parts that I made myself because it wasn't a thing, they didn't make it. I have an S8E. It's right up there, similarly retired, because the reason this thing is retired and doesn't run anymore and just left his electronics in him is most of the vehicles that I took parts from to build this, those vehicles haven't been made in over a decade. So if something breaks on this, and as I said, things on this break all the time, and here's the real fun part. We do crawler stuff around here, right? Tiny toy cars that go slow. We do crawler stuff here. This won't be overwhelmingly accurate, but minus body and battery. This weighs 7 pounds. This weighs 7 pounds. It has a 375 millimeter wheelbase. The track is 305. You know what I need? You know what we really need? We need like a TF2. Just to give us an idea. It's really big. This guy probably weighs more than that. RTR out on the track. We're talking sub 9 pounds, just north of 8.5, and it was indeed a truly joyful thing for me. Let's just say the chassis plate is 440 millimeters long. It's big. It's real big. And it's the way I wanted it. Everything about it was the way I wanted it. And may they not rest in peace. We made a voyage down to LARC, not to be confused with any of the other indoor tracks or situations where they just used like their location part of their name. OCRC was one of our favorite places to go, down in, what was it, Huntington, Newport, down there. LARC, we were down in LARC, and I was driving this. He had a different body on at the time. This body was painted. This is all duplicolor vinyl and fabric. You used to be able to get this lemon yellow in duplicolor vinyl and fabric, and then the red and the black. This is literally all duplicolor vinyl and fabric paint. This body was painted over 15 years ago. The white is duplicolor. All of it is just paint for touching up the interior in your old car. We were at LARC, and I was driving this. And what you find out about the types of people that frequent, why, if you were to ask, why do I not do go fast stuff much anymore? It's because if you go to a place where there's a lot of go fast stuff happening, there is a very particular personality that gravitates towards that. Mind you, a lot of people there just have a good time, like play with their toy cars, just like everybody else. And then there are people that take it very seriously. Now, taking it very seriously and being good at it, those are two very different things. So on this fateful afternoon at LARC, I had been there for about, buddy, there were two of us there. We'd been there about 3 hours driving, just running pack after pack after pack. And I was having a pretty good time. They had a speed gun at the end of the straightaway with the big red readout number so you could see how fast you went down the main straightaway, which went right into a hairpin. So, of course, you had to be a little careful about it. And we're out going down this main straightaway as fast as we can. And there are a couple different philosophies about cornering, about how you behave when going around a corner. And there is apexing, right? Which is the way I drive. And then there is what people who are not remarkably skilled at driving things like 10th scale buggies and short course trucks, and that is called squaring the corner, which is where we need something we can go around. So this is the corner, right? If you're going to apex, you come out wide and you come in to the apex like this, and then you continue out wide. So you're trying to an arc. It's all about a smooth arc. And when you're driving something that is overpowered and two-wheel drive and has no aerodynamics, it has none of those effects operating on it, apexing is the way to go. Squaring a corner is you come here, you slow down, you accelerate through the corner, and then you basically turn twice in order to turn once. And this is how the buggy boys were taking that corner, and I was apexing it. So as I'm apexing it, I'm carrying significantly more speed right here than they are. And they are going at their slowest through the apex. So I was sort of driving through them because the 10th scale buggy is significantly lighter. And I wasn't being mean. I wasn't deliberately ramming anyone. I wasn't out there to cause destruction. But apparently, people they felt bullied that something bigger and faster than their 10th scale buggies. So I was approached by someone of the staff, I assume, who said that, we don't allow 8th scales here. And I look over his shoulder out onto the track, and there are numerous short course trucks and 8th scale buggies running at that moment. And I go, oh, okay, we're almost done here anyway, so thanks for letting us know. And I put my last battery pack in there, and I went out on the course, and I ran over a number of 10th scale buggies. Because I wanted it to be made clear to people that I would never see again, and that place has joyfully gone out of business since. I wanted those people to understand that were I malicious and malevolent, I could have done that from the very beginning. And I came around the apex after I'd gone about 25, 26 miles an hour down the main straight when most of the buggies were hitting in the like low to mid teens. I came off of that and I apexed that corner. And the way that track was laid out is right here is the off-road track. And then perpendicular to it was the on-road track. And it went the track, the walkway to go to the driver's stand, and then the on-road track. And as I came around that turn, carrying significantly more speed than anyone else, there were a couple of buggies that were going. There was kind of it was like a baby step up. You went into a step up jump and then you wrapped back around in front of the driver's stand. And as we went, they were up in the air, and I came through the corner, and I went to go to the step up. And as I did, instead of realigning myself to apex and move through that corner, I squared the corner, and I came diagonally off of that jump, and I hit one of those buggies in midair, and I shunted him over the walkway, and he flew probably about 20 feet and landed out on the sedan track, and I continued to drive around. And then I packed up my stuff and I went home, and I thought to myself, I'm either too much like those guys or I'm not enough like those guys. I'm somewhere in an uncomfortable middle. And it was then, that was very nearly at the time that this stuff all went back on the shelf. And it just sat for years and years until caffeine-fueled insomnia prompted me to click through a targeted Facebook ad for a TRX-4 Defender at A-Main Hobbies. And I bought that. And now you arrive where you've arrived today. So, I like the tiny toys that go slow. I still like the somewhat tiny toy cars that go fast. I just don't like the really tiny ones. I'll take one of these, I'll take one of those, but I won't take the real tiny ones because what did I spend the most time on? What do I have that something approaching 10,000 hours into? This. The build series of which and all documentation of which is lost to the sands of time because the only place that it was documented was on the Ultimate RC forums. And those who were there then will remember it, and everyone else, it's just kind of a mystery. So, if you ever wonder, if you say, how does this guy have all of these parts and screws and bins of things? It's because it started a long, long time ago. And I think I could make an argument that it kind of started with this. That genuinely began as a Traxxas Slash purchased from Tower Hobbies prior to the Horizon buyout until it eventually turned into something else entirely. And that is absolutely how things work around here because believe it or don't, you don't have to if you don't want, but this is a Traxxas Slash too. Two-wheel drive and everything. If we can't find it, if we can't buy it, we'll make it ourselves. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us here for a little breakdown here in the canyon. I used to spend more than an hour painting bodies. I definitely did. Look at that. Look at that color fade on that. We used to do more. Now we do more. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you in the next one. In between now and then, please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good road. We'll see you again here from the canyon with some other nonsense.